Hello, this is a response to Jezuzfreak's question, what is the purpose of humanity? And basically it's a point-by-point analysis of him. So, why do so many believe in God over the ages is one of your rough points. This is a giant fucking argumentum ad populum. The popularity of something is hardly any indicator of its truth. I imagine a lot of people, for example, throughout history have been in slavery or have supported slavery, or in general it's existed in many cultures over the years. It doesn't make it true. Racism has existed in many cultures over the years. Doesn't make it true. The oppression of women, etc., etc. How many examples do you want me to give? Okay, but suppose that loads of cultures, and second of all, not all cultures have belief in God. Take, I don't know, Buddhism, which is not necessarily atheistic, but is non-theistic. It doesn't really place emphasis on God as part of its theology, although it does place emphasis on the supernatural, of course. So, and in addition, excuse me, but there are atheists in the world. You know, not all cultures believe in God, and certainly not all cultures believe in the Christian God. And this is a point which I'll raise later. Okay, so why do so many believe in God? Your answer is that it's part of an innate desire to know God. Or how about this? It's part of a desire for A, comfort, and B, explanation of things they can't otherwise explain. God gives comfort because, for example, in the Christian tradition, if your life is shit, you're going to go to heaven. Also, it explains other things which are otherwise completely mysterious by saying, oh yeah, God did it. Of course, this is a very shallow explanation because it doesn't really say anything. How did God do it? It's just replacing one mystery with another mystery. Also, you basically arrogantly state everyone wants to know God. Well, okay, how about knowing gods? Plenty of Hinduism right now has, I believe, about 1 billion adherents, and also there are plenty of other polytheistic religions around the world. Basically, what you're doing is shamelessly hijacking superstition around the world and saying, oh yeah, look at me, they all support roughly my view, and then you say, oh, they've all believed it to one extent or another, so you're sort of admitting that not everyone has exactly the same point of view as you. However, let's face it, the popularity of something, as I said, does not contribute to its truth. You also ignorantly state the God is the only thing that ties us together. Well, how about this? We all need to eat, we all need to sleep, we all need to drink, have sex, wage war. Now, war is a good point because we've been doing it for a lot longer than we've been believing in God. We record our lives from the very first rock paintings in 30,000 years ago. We have a desire to survive, pass on our genes. We have a desire to love, etc., etc. I mean, if this is not enough for you, I don't know what is. Then you go into these classic Christian tactics of, oh, Jesus Christ loves you, and etc. Of course, no evidence is provided that he exists, at least in a contemporaneous sense, and no evidence is provided that if there is a God, that they actually believe this stuff. And why should I accept Christianity? Because, you say the Bible teaches us this, and you basically quote the Bible without explaining why the logic is so amazing. Well, the Bible teaches us a lot of things, like killing homosexuals in Leviticus, or offering up your daughters to a gang rape in Genesis 19. I haven't read all of the Bible. I stopped towards the end of Genesis. I read a bit of the book of Job. I stopped because it's such a piece of shit. It's poorly translated, and also it's morally completely reprehensible. So you really have to provide your own logic and evidence if you want people to just accept the Bible. You say, again, with no evidence, of course, just Christian theology, the purpose of humanity is created for God's pleasure. First of all, what is God's pleasure? How do we please him? The Bible contains contradictions, say, be loving, but oh no, stone homosexuals and oppress women, so on and so forth. And, okay, let's say he did create us. I like to introduce layers into my argument. Why does this demand blind obedience, as you're saying? You basically say, for God's pleasure, nothing else. Should a child always obey his parents, even though they do abusive things to him, much like God does with humanity in the Bible? Because, I'm sorry, why should I obey a jealous tyrant who revels in displaying his own power for the sake of displaying his own power, as he does with Abraham and asking him to kill Isaac, and as he does with the book of Job? Basically, and then you might say, oh, but God is powerful, you should respect him because of that. Well, yeah, maybe God is powerful, but even then, he's also all-knowing. So if I respected him just to get on his good side, he'd know that it was insincere. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the proud and arrogant thing, and I'm going to stand up to him and say, fuck you, because I don't believe in your stupid shit, and if you want to kill me for that, good, but I'll win in the end. Of course, this vision of blind obedience, even you realize, is really quite negative, so you change tack to a more sympathetic tone, which Christians often do to sort of emotionally blackmail us. And then you say, God created us to commune with us. Now, I may be paraphrasing from Robert Heinlein, but the idea of a perfect and all-knowing God, master and creator of all the universe, the idea that he wants to have a chat with us morons is just laughable. But then again, later again in the video, you say he put us here to seek him, not for him to seek us. Make up your mind. Who's supposed to be doing the communing? Who's supposed to be doing the worshipping, the seeking out, and so on and so forth? So essentially, you summarize loose word, Christian theology, and then you arrogantly state that humanity is understood to one degree or another. Now, how about this? Buddhism says you must escape endless rebirth through continuous self-enlightenment and self-improvement. That's completely different from prostrating yourself before a god. And not everyone has blindly subscribed to a need to commune with this anthropomorphic sky pixie, imagined sky pixie. Basically, you're just communicating with figments of your imagination or figments of other people's imagination. Well, at the beginning of the video, you take a really disgusting, underhanded, slimy tactic of mentioning only one of the possible range of opinions atheists have, i.e. the nihilist or ultra-Darwinist visions of the purpose of humanity, without making mention of any others. And this because you're a slimy shit who wants to distort other people's opinions. Well, how about this? The purpose of humanity is to help out your fellow man. There are 6.5, or self-enlightenment, or there's a wide variety of answers. There are 6.5 billion people on this planet, a huge variety of cultures, languages, varying states of poverty or whatever, producing a vast amount of literature, music, philosophy, thought, blah, 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 blah. I don't understand. Is this not enough for you? You could go throughout your entire life exploring the world and you'd still explore 1% of it, simply because we don't have much time on this world, and that's it. However, what humanism says, it's superior because it says, we've got this time and let's make the best of it. It promotes a direct concern for your fellow man as opposed to a direct concern for a magical sky pixie who maybe says, oh yeah, be concerned for your fellow man, except stone him if he's homosexual and oppress your women and make sure everyone worships me blindly and so on and so forth. Of course, that's if we subscribe to Christian theology. However, because this magical sky pixie doesn't exist, or there's no way of actually knowing what he says, it's infinitely malleable. So maybe you get a nice liberal Christian, sometimes like yourself, sometimes not, or you can get the fundamentalist variety. Of course, there's no real way to predict what will happen with a theist, because God is an infinitely malleable idea. He's a tool. And the fact that it is used by everyone from Islamofascists to you is really proof of its malleability. But suppose, yeah, to a certain extent we are a blip on the radar, as you say, but just compare you and the universe, it's really no comparison. However, if you get depressed because of this, it's your own fault. No one asked you or expects you to have a huge influence on the universe, and who cares you don't? You know, the stars are out there. Who do you want to influence and help more? The universe or your fellow man's condition? The second part of my response is coming up right now. In a second video, obviously.